Hello and welcome to the Farming Today This Week podcast with me, Charlotte Smith. In this episode, no silver bullet for farming, but 57 recommendations from Baroness Batters.
We face enormous challenges. We have to deliver on making food security, national security, and profitable farming is at the heart of achieving that.
And festive cheer down at the livestock market. More carols complete with brass band later. First, the rural heritage buildings that make up our countryside. It's something that we've been talking about all week on our sister programme, Farming Today. And on the off chance that you haven't been awake at 5:45 every day this week, here's a taste of it. We looked at everything from barns to mansions. And of course, all of these buildings need repairing at some point. So Marie-Claire Carey-Jones went to the Towie Centre in Carmarthenshire, which is the only centre in the UK teaching NVQ Level 3 qualifications in heritage construction skills. Marie-Claire met students and staff, starting with the centre manager, Nell Hellier.
This is one of our training rooms.
And on the desk here at the front, there's some paper laid out with different piles of what look like sand and stone. What are those?
This is a little experiment out on the table showing the makeup of different aggregates you would need if you were making a lime mortar.
So now tell me about the Towie Centre. What is it that you're doing here?
We are really the only centre that delivers the NVQ Level 3 in heritage plastering, in heritage carpentry and in heritage stonemasonry that looks after our everyday traditional buildings.
Is this a very niche area though?
I would say it isn't. Although the contractors who come through our training courses, some of them go on to work on very high-end, high-graded listed buildings, the majority tend to use their skills on everyday repair and maintenance. And in Wales, we've got 500,000 of these traditional buildings. It's a third of our housing stock. I don't think a third of all our buildings is a niche area at all. Although, that said, it's only just touched upon, the knowledge about how to care and repair these buildings is only just touched upon in mainstream college education.
So you think there needs to be more centres like this?
Absolutely.
Slate this from a powder to a putty.
Across the centre, a group of students is learning about traditional plaster.
In front of us we have a bucket of lime putty. So we would mix our lime putty with various different types of aggregates to do various different things. So in this instance we're mixing an aggregate and we're going to be adding some animal hair for a plaster. Whiz away.
My name is Marcus Francis. I've been in construction for 20 odd years, but mainly on new builds, and I really got an interest and a passion in heritage and older buildings. I saw the Towie Centre were offering the courses and jumped at it really, so thoroughly enjoyed the course, concentrating on lime pointing, lime plastering.
What do you hope to do with the skills that you're learning here?
Well, I'm already implementing them and using them in my own little building company at the moment. From a humble farm cottage to listed buildings. It's all here in Wales and we need more people doing it.
Hi, my name's William Dawkins. I've been training at the Towie Centre for my stonemasonry course. I didn't know anyone else my age going into stonemasonry, and I thought, well, if there's no one else doing it, then it's a bit of a gap for me to fill.
And you're already working in it. What's that been like to start working in the field straight away?
It's been brilliant. The amount of stone buildings we have all across Wales and the UK, and not many stonemasons. And I think the more young people coming through, the better. Otherwise the skills are going to be lost and the buildings will be lost too.
Trainee stonemason Will Dawkins there. Well, village churches are as much a part of our rural landscape as trees and hedgerows. But according to a recent survey by the National Churches Trust, as many as 900 of Britain's rural churches are in danger of closing in the next 5 years. Helen Millican has been to one village church in North Cumbria, whose supporters are determined to ensure its survival.
Has he been able to use the original
I don't think he
glass
wants
then,
to
or
put
has
the
he had
glass
to
in until
replace
the
the
elevator's
glass?
been put in.
It's not a church service at St James in Welton that I am interrupting. It's, I suppose, almost a site meeting
It is a site
of
meeting.
Church Warden Lynn Williams, Church Treasurer Pamela Mitchell, parishioners Graham Gash, Jeff Carruthers, Peter Wyborough, all gathered together in a church where the pews are shrouded in dust sheets. And as we look towards the West End, we don't see the wonderful window. No, we don't see that magnificent window. We see scaffolding and plywood.
And no font. Thank you to Storm Eowyn. It moved the gable end and became dangerous. This is how we first saw it. So there's the roof and there's the gable end coming away. The window split and then inside started to move.
So the gaps and cracks.
The gaps and
appearing
cracks
everywhere.
there.
It bellied out.
You can see where the window there is bellied and there's actually holes in the window. Having said that, the builders have worked wonders and they've worked really hard and we're on schedule. So we should be open beginning of February and it'll be quite an emotional day.
It's quite a plain church in lots of ways, but very, very beautiful. I mean, looking above us, the rafters, the beams, it's a wonderful construction.
It's amazing how most of these local village churches are all beautiful. We at Welton keenly support our church. All our ancestors are buried here, and without it, well, we regard it as ours, and it's a very special church.
Yeah.
It's a Victorian building.
It's about
1873.
1870 odd, yeah. There were a few local houses built at that time, most likely out of local Sanson stone from just on the River Coldew edge there. You expect these buildings, they've been built well, to last forever. Unfortunately, this has happened in our lifetime, so we've had to deal with it, luckily through insurance. I don't know what would have happened if we hadn't been insured.
As well as being part of the church community, you're all part of the farming community as well. Why does this church matter so much to you?
Grandparents, parents married here, we were married here, children married here.
Because it was always a meeting place for the country people. It's where the boys met the girls in the old days, and it always was. And I think it's a focal point for the community.
It's the main focal point now for the villagers because the pub's gone, the post office has gone, and the school has gone. So all they have left as a community hub is actually the church and the village hall.
An event like a storm, and what's happened to your gable end here, is unforeseen. It's something that you're not budgeting for.
No.
And of course, with being closed, you won't have had any money coming in.
Exactly. We've lost our income for 12 months and yet the expenses are still the same and, dare I say, will go up enormously in 2026 because who knows what the insurance premium will now go up by. Let's just hope with the will and goodwill of everybody else that we can keep going.
Well, hopefully it'll be okay in my lifetime. I'm expecting to have my funeral service here and probably, hopefully, other people after that.
Some of the parishioners at Welton Church in Cumbria there. Now, when a local community group began the restoration of an old corn mill in County Fermanagh, it created interest in a number of old millstones long abandoned on several local farms. Most of them were cracked or split and sometimes half submerged in bogs and streams. Local historian Barney Devine was intrigued by them and has uncovered a forgotten history in rural East Fermanagh. Kathleen Carraher joined him up a mountain.
Now, what about that for a view?
Pretty amazing, yes.
The lakes over there with all the islands.
Barney, we've just climbed up a very steep hill and at the top a millstone.
You're 1,000 feet up, and yes, absolutely. Here is a 5 feet diameter millstone. When you look at it, you think it's perfect, but no, the top left-hand side, there's a piece missing. It's not a very, very big fracture, but if you look closely, there is a fracture line running right into the heart of it. They reckon it takes 2 men a week to make a rough out like this in the shape of a circular millstone. But can you imagine, maybe on their last day they were thinking, we've got this thing licked, and then one of them chips a chunk out of it. It must have been really, really hard in an environment like this up a mountain.
So how were they made?
This would have been made with hammers and chisels. They also used crowbars to then lever this very rough out away from the parent, the mother boulder. They then laid it on its back, and they, as you can see, they have begun the central eye in this one, but they haven't gone the whole way through. So the break here on the rim must have come before they finished the eye, because there was no point in pursuing it anymore. They then took them off the mountain on what we call a slipe, which is a sledge attached to the horse. And down below was where they finished it. So they would have been made to order, because you couldn't have made these and kept them in the hope that someone would come looking for one. This was probably for a very, very big mill, very far away from here, where they were doing a lot of milling.
Barney, we've come back down the hill now and you've taken me to Tully Mill.
The corn mill was built sometime, we think, around 1766, and it operated until just at the end of the Second World War in 1945. And the entrance is wonderful because you can see right away millstones at the gateway. And these were used here in the mill, and there are several of them scattered about. People can come and sit in them. They're planting around them. Wedding photographs have been taken here. And then there's the mill pond, and then at the very, very far end we have the old mill, and we have the hall, and we have tourism houses. Now, all of this was built by Kalesher Community Development Group, and they received funding from the Heritage Fund way back in 2000. Now that we have the wheel and the mill and the restaurant, this is now a thriving community enterprise run by volunteers from the community, and it's a reminder of the whole heritage and history of Tully Mill and the millstones.
Barney Devine there. Now, unless you get your last-minute Christmas cards in the post first class today, they won't make it. But here's an interesting fact. For the price of that first-class stamp, you could buy 34 kilos of carrots. The stamp would cost you £1.70. The carrots are now on sale at 5p a kilo at Aldi and Lidl, with other retailers offering similar prices with loyalty cards. Veg as a supermarket loss leader at Christmas is becoming almost as traditional as cranberry sauce and Wallace and Gromit, and that is despite a difficult year for growers. Here's Ben Poskett from Poskett Carrots near Goole in East Yorkshire. They're currently picking 7 days a week and aim to have 1 million bags of carrots in the shops this Christmas.
It's very, very challenging to get the crop ready for the right time and get it to the right size. These carrots here were planted in April. They've been under a lot of stress this summer. We've had a serious drought this year, so they've had 6 or 7 passes of irrigation over the top of them, so they've been quite a costly crop to grow. The main thing we want at Christmas is smaller carrots for packing, but as a business we do have quite a lot of customers. We've got maybe nearly 100 customers, ranging from retail all the way down to the dog food factory, so crop utilisation is key and we have very little food waste.
Kaz Graham spoke to Grace Duncan, fresh food editor at the Grocer magazine, earlier this week, when some supermarkets were charging 8p a kilo for carrots. She says this price war is all about getting shoppers through the door.
Obviously, Christmas is a super important time for retailers and for all businesses who are selling to shoppers. They know that people are spending more than normal, and if you can get people through the door because you've got this amazing deal where you can get 8p carrots, and they might pick up mince pies, Christmas pudding, maybe even a turkey from you instead of your competitor.
Why is it always the veg that is used as a loss leader?
It's an easy headline win, isn't it, for the retailers? They have obviously got these long-term contracts with their growers, so the growers hopefully are not going to be losing out.
Well, you say hopefully. Are they likely to lose out?
In most supermarket contracts, they will be protected by this, and the supermarkets will take the hit on costs. I think from a supermarket perspective, the veg isn't the most exciting part of the Christmas table, and while people may be willing to spend more on the more luxury items or the items that you think of as kind of those centerpieces, the stuff around the edges where people typically will say, well, a carrot's a carrot, can't really tell the difference, they're more likely to lower those prices. Whereas if you're one of the higher end retailers, you're trying to differentiate yourself out on turkeys and things like that and showing how much better yours are. Whereas there's not much you can really do with a carrot or a potato to show that yours is significantly better than your competitors, especially when they're all kind of coming from a similar group of suppliers. The farmers It depends what contract farmers have with their suppliers, with their packers. Some will be more protected from this than others, but as your guest has already said, it has been a really hard year and supply is tighter than normal. So even if farmers are being protected by their supermarket buyers, I can imagine it's quite disappointing to see them devaluing their product in the eyes of the consumer. The retailers have done this for most Christmases now. They've also started doing it at Easter. And the concern, I think, across the board is it makes the shopper think, why am I paying so much more the rest of the year when I can buy this product for 8p at Christmas? What on earth is going on in the supply chain? And in other parts of the world, this can't happen. In many European countries, it's illegal to sell food under the cost of production to kind of protect that consumer price perception and protect growers who might be seeing what they produce go up and down on shelf. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of growers and grower bodies have been calling for, because it does really impact what consumers value in their shop.
Grace Duncan there from The Grocer. And it seems some of you do feel that this practice is devaluing food and the work farmers do to produce it. Neil Carter in Devon wants to be assured that farmers aren't being forced to support these promotions by the supermarkets they supply. He says he is not a fan of the practice. And Gordon Rennie wanted to know what will happen to all the unsold veg packs, as he says supermarkets can't keep these artificially low prices after the promotion ends. Well, thanks to everyone who got in touch via our email, which is farming.today@bbc.co.uk. So it's taken longer than expected to see the light of day, but the Batters review into farm profitability in England was published this week. This is a hefty piece of work put together by Baroness Batters, the former president of the National Farmers Union. It's more than 150 pages long. It has 57 recommendations for the government. It calls for a national plan for farming and a new deal for profitable farming that recognises the true cost of producing food and delivering for the environment. The review was commissioned by the government in April to provide expert opinion to DEFRA on short, medium and long-term profitability. It comes against a backdrop of major challenges for the industry, including uncertainty and confusion about future support schemes for farmers, volatile markets, increased costs, disruption caused by more extreme weather events, and discontent around changes to inheritance tax on farm estates. Baroness Batters spoke to Kaz Graham and began by setting out her main recommendations.
Well, it starts with a complete recalculation of, does this sector matter? You know, that was the first question that I was asking. Does farming matter? You know, farming today knows it matters, and I know it matters more than anyone. But does it matter in government? And not just politically, but the machinery of government. Do civil servants in the Treasury really want farming to thrive? And I think the fact that it's been said to me several times over the last few years that farming is 0.6% of our GDP, it really couldn't matter less, speaks to so many of the challenges that we face today, which is why I'm asking for a total recalculation of farming, primary production and primary and secondary processing, but also the allied trades, on-farm recreation, tourism. I mean, in New Zealand, where I did a lot of comparisons, 80% of their value of GDP comes from the allied relationships to farming. And of course, in New Zealand, it's 10% of GDP. So I think that's a fundamental place from which to start. And then, of course, I focus on the importance of managing the supply and demand model, which is critical to agriculture. You know, we are going to be importing more. We will need to be exporting more. So we've really got to have a joined up approach to retail, to out-of-home, to procurement, and increasing our exports 30% by 2030.
This review is about a long-term plan, a long-term vision. But for many farmers, it's the short term that's the absolute priority, because they haven't been able to sign up for schemes like the Sustainable Farming Incentive. How does the Sustainable Farming Incentive need to change? And will your recommendations be informing the version of it that DEFRA have said that they're going to open up in the spring?
Well, I was absolutely adamant from day one that we have to open up the SFI scheme for applications as soon as possible for the 50% of farmers that aren't in it. I also think we should embed the active farmer principle so that this funding is going to those that are actively farming. I also think that we must be linking it to food production and not just environmental crops. We can deliver nature in the field. I make the case for a privately funded SFI scheme, because if we want to keep the family farm structure that we have at the moment, we have to be able to have, for the average family farm, a level of earnings that equates to 34,500 if we are going to be on a same level playing field as median household earnings.
There's been a lot of reaction to the review, much of it pretty positive. But WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, says it's disappointing that there is so little in it on climate change and nature loss. How comfortably does farm profitability sit alongside nature restoration?
I don't see how they can say that. We can deliver nature through pulses. We can deliver nature through oilseeds. Benefit for pollinators. I talk about a world-leading commercial science project to dry, pelletize our nutrients, develop green fertilizers, build our soil health. We cannot keep focusing on either or. I have set out from the beginning to restore balance between sustainable food production and the environmental delivery. We cannot do that without farmers, and there's got to be a hard recognition that we need to establish a model that will pay for it.
Baroness Batters, this review has been released the very last day the government could release it before the parliamentary term ends, along with numerous other things as well. No time for questions. The Lib Dem say it's been sneaked out. How do you feel about the way it's been published?
Look, it's frustrating, but it's been published. The main thing that matters now is that it's acted upon and it's not cherry-picked. So I've given the government 2 years to establish a new way of working, and that's what matters. And it also matters that we get cross-party support. We cannot keep dragging farmers on and off this road. We need to get on the 25-year farming roadmap. We have 69.7 million people on an island. We face enormous challenges from extreme weather events and a horrific and ongoing war in Europe. We have to deliver on making food security, national security, and profitable farming is at the heart of achieving that.
Baroness Batters there, and we'll have reaction to her review on Monday's programme. But with Christmas just days away, let's get into the festive spirit. Like many livestock marts, Salisbury Market holds an annual carol service, complete with traditional silver horn band. It's a way to bring farming families together at Christmas. Marie Lennon spent the evening at the service and spoke to the organisers.
My name is Canon Richard Curlew. I am the chair of the Agricultural Chaplain Association and also the lead chaplain here at Salisbury Market.
And you've got an excellent Christmas jumper.
Well, we try. We try.
What's the point of this evening?
Well, it's to bring farmers together, farmers' families together, to be able to just sing carols, have a good time, have an immense laugh, which we will in this service. Yeah, just generally be together, which is great.
Do you think it's much needed, that sense of having a space, an excuse to be together?
Absolutely. Especially at this time, there's so many issues with mental health. It's just stress after stress after stress on farming. And it's an evening like this which will relieve that stress. And it's Christmas time, come on, let's enjoy it.
My name's Julia. We've got chickens. We're Salisbury Poultry Club, and we spend a lot of our lives and time down here. We've started coming to this carol service.
We've been a fair few years now, haven't we? It's quite a few years. Yeah, it's like the thing.
Is it like a tradition?
Yeah, it is pretty much.
Ian Souter, Director of Southern Counties Auctioneers here at Salisbury Livestock Market. I've never seen so many happy, beaming faces.
Been wonderful. I mean, it is full here every Tuesday for the sales, but it's the most we've had for this carol service. It gets better every year, and it's been a wonderful occasion again. And we actually see a lot of people that we don't see during the markets, and they come from far and wide And it's lovely to see quite a lot of youngsters as well that we don't always see. Perhaps they stay on the farm working. So it's great to see them all enjoying themselves, having fun and, contributing. Farmers are pretty good. They keep the spirits up very well.
The Salisbury Silver Band there, and that's it from us. I'm Charlotte Smith. The producer is Sally Challoner, and Farming Today this week is a BBC Audio Bristol production.